My family is pressuring me to give my 23F sister my 28F wedding venue because she needs it more and is pregnant. Part 1. My fiance and I have been together for 8 years and engaged for 3. I was doing my PhD program and was juggling planning the wedding. My fiance took much of that work, but it was perfect because our dream venue was booked till after my graduation. So what we did was book our dream venue 3 years in advance. It is a really beautiful venue. The only slot we got was September of this year. My sister got engaged a few months ago to her fiance. They were planning on having a spring wedding next year. They had no venue lined up, but had a few vendors lined up as well as a set date. Yesterday, our parents invited us and our significant others to a family barbecue, where my sister announced to our extended family that she is expecting. Everyone was so happy for her and my brother-in-law, who is a great guy. My nan asked my sister if the wedding was still on the set date or if they were going to wait because of the baby. She said no, that she hoped to move it to September. No big deal. We don't have that many out-of-town guests, so they could attend both weddings no problem. Nan was happy and asked my sister if she needed help planning such a short-notice wedding. My sister then turns around and said, "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was really hoping we could kind of take your venue. I really cannot stress too much with planning a wedding while going to maternity classes, and I think it is so beautiful. It would really mean a lot to me." It went silent, but everyone was looking at me expecting me to say, "Yes, of course, anything for my little sister." My brother-in-law looked very uncomfortable and told her that they had talked about this and that it was not okay to put me on the spot. But my sister just said, "Don't be like that. My sister wants to do what's best for me, so it's no big deal, right?" I just said, "Well, it kind of is. I don't know. I have my heart really set on the venue." Cue the crying. She stormed off. Nan told me I was being selfish because she really needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself and my mother said, "You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiance got mad and we left. My sister called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want and that I could have done this one thing for her. Dad said it is just a venue and what matters is the person who you are marrying. He is kind of right, but we have been planning for so long. My fiance is furious with my family and doesn't even want my sister to come. Now my family is threatening not to come because I am being selfish and my sister needs it more than me because having a baby is too stressful. Part 2. My brother-in-law called me and apologized for the inconvenience. He told me he had discussed it with my sister and she had told him that she would not ask. He is properly mad with her now and warned me that my sister is blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage. My father has sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you are happy your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday," and so on and so on. My fiance and I have decided to boot my sister from the bridal party and replace her with my aunt, who is the only family member that took my side. We have not decided whether or not we will invite my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon her to tell on us. She called my fiance's parents and told them that it would be best if my sister gets it because she is pregnant and preeclampsia runs in the family, whatever that means. My future father-in-law told them to F off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous and that they were going to lose me if they kept playing favorites. So my mom is now crying and saying that my father-in-law is a jerk. This is just getting so pathetic. It seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving to us currently with some supper and wine and basically told me not to worry and that no matter what happens, they will always be my safety net. I cried of happiness. Part 3. My sister. My sister saw this story while browsing on her Reddit account. She lost her mind. She accused me of painting her like a loony and misinterpreting facts. My sister got wind of the situation due to various media outlets and went on Reddit. She said that I was being unfair, that she is family, and that she asked it nicely because she loves me. She also underlines the fact that the opinion of internet strangers doesn't count because family is more important and I should focus on making my family happy. The only text I sent back was this: "I am sorry that you perceived it that way. I did not in any matter distort what happened. As you might notice, I didn't describe your tone nor exaggerate anything. Perhaps you have the night different in your mind than I do, but I digress. I am sick and tired to bending to your will. My whole life I have been your servant and your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum because you didn't get presents? Or when you cried so that I would fill out job applications for you? But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. I am done. I admit that I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry so bad before your baby is born, then you could look at Hotel X that offers last-minute weddings. I have spent too much time planning my wedding to gift it to you. And if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault." And she only sent me a, "Wow, you must love me so very much," and blocked me. She unblocked me this morning to send me this: "Wedding planner. Hello dear, I got the message from your mother and will proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract. Sister. That's great. I'll be there at 9. My parents haven't actually written me since the thing with my father-in-law. My older brother, yes, I have an older brother, but he lives in another city and wasn't at the barbecue. That's why I didn't mention him. Plus, he initially could not come to the wedding because of work and changed his plans after hearing about the story. Contacted me and wanted to know what had happened because he got a weird story from mom and dad. Mom had told him that I had offered previous to the barbecue to give up my venue to my sister and that I had humiliated her. I told him what really happened and he had no problem believing me. We talked a lot about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that him moving was partly due to our parents being jerks to us. He told me that mom had gotten wind from the post and was mad at me for betraying my family. I haven't written my parents what so many of you advised me because I have come to terms with the fact that they love my sister more than me, if they love me at all. The wedding. We sat together and put passwords with the majority of our vendors and also with the venue directly. We didn't talk to our planner yet, which is why the text of my sister worries me so much. Also, we canceled the catering that my parents paid for. So short term, we won't be able to get a full catering like we wanted to. But all our friends and fiance's family will help us prepare a buffet, and everyone is going to chip in. That will be our bachelor party. As we will have to spend more on our food, now we canceled our bachelor parties and we'll have a family and friends cooking session. Thank you again for helping me see how toxic my family is. I will try to sort it out. If they apologize from the bottom of their heart, they will be allowed into my wedding. But if not, then well, I still have my brother who will be walking me down the aisle and my aunt. Part 4. We called my planner and she was actually really horrified. She told me she had never had as much as talked to my mother since the day we booked the venue. She assured me that even if they were to call and say that I wanted it, I had to be present to make any changes. So we informed everyone that will work for us on our wedding day, and they offered to hire security for that day at a reduced price. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Wow, this story is unbelievable. I can't believe your sister had the audacity to try and get you to give her your dream venue that you booked 3 years in advance. I can't imagine the stress this must have caused you and having your own family turn against you when your sister was clearly in the wrong. I hope your wedding day turned out how you imagined it, and hopefully you got the apology that you deserved from your family. We're having a 6th kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. I, F19, am my parents' second child. I have 3 brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and a sister, 16. We grew up poor and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, etc. for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just keep on popping out one kid after another. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God. Personally, I think that's garbage. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if it hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to be a mess. While growing up, we never had new clothes or toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. To top it off, we were all well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Now, my older brother and I have managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that would be better than our parents' lives. He and I were staying at our parents' place for a while due to the lockdown. One morning, my parents called all 5 of us into the living room. Mom said she had great news. The smile that was forming on my face disappeared when she said, "We're pregnant." I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so stupid and irresponsible. Do they not have enough financial troubles already that they have to bring in another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still hadn't learned their lesson. I asked them how they planned to provide for the child. My dad told me that I would have to give up the money our great uncle had left me. He had left all 5 of us some money which only we could access after we turned 18. I said, no way. That money would help pay for college expenses. He called me selfish for not being there for the family. I told them that if they couldn't provide for a kid, they shouldn't have another one. My mom started crying and called me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me. I told them there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity. What I was really worried about was my sibling lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped from our parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers and a screaming baby. As I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny for my younger siblings. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baths and feed the toddlers. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What? Again?" I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance. She said she was going to speak to my parents and told me not to sign over anything. I promised her I wouldn't. Of course I won't. I also called 2 of my first cousins, one of whom is an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby is going to be and to try and convince them to change their minds. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was only going to stay there till lockdown was relaxed, but I just couldn't bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby is such a blessing. I've moved into a friend's basement for minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her that a woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love. My aunt never wanted kids, nor had any, one of the reasons she's my fave. My dad told her to get out. Aunt told me there was nothing she could do, but she did try. I didn't blame her. The cousin tried to explain the economic impact this kid would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take away her baby. The intervention didn't help. So now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I just can't watch my family slide further and further into this hole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister, 16, just to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing as he can act as a link between me and the other siblings if my parents ever forbid them from talking to me. Otherwise, I'm done with these people. Leave your thoughts on this story below. I feel so bad that you have been put in this situation. Your inheritance is not something that your parents can just decide to take away from you. You deserve to be able to use that for college. I hope you were able to figure everything out. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.